Okay, I'm back. Okay, Juana, I am back. And yeah, okay, I see my microphone is on, everything is on. I'm just waiting for Miss Juana Sperling to come on from JJ Fad, and we will start. We will start. And let's see.
Hey,
You know what? That was the quickest ever.
was it?
Yeah, that's the quickest that I've ever gotten anybody on.
That was
I
easy.
am so surprised. I'm even before time. We were supposed to start at 6.
Yes.
And I said, let's do this early because I don't want no problems. It'll give us time to get it all together. But you pop right on.
Perfect.
See what,
Yay.
you see what prayer does?
I love it.
Girl, I was praying, okay? I'm like, okay, this has to go really, really good. I think I'm too close.
Okay.
I'm going to back mine up a little bit.
Am I coming through clear to you?
Yeah, you're coming in
Okay.
really good.
Okay.
Hey, Annette. I see I'm going to wait for a few people to get on because we are early.
Okay.
Yeah, how's everything? How was your day?
It was good. I was at work. And today, Wednesdays, we have minimum days. So I got off a little early, which is good. That's why I like to schedule all my appointments on Wednesday. So I can get off work early and take care of business.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So it's 5:59. We are going to start at 6 o'clock. Because, I like to start things on time.
That's right. No CP time around here.
I know. So I am going to read your bio
Okay.
to introduce you to everybody. Hey, Luciano. So we are on with the amazing MCJB. Her name is Juana Sperling,
Yes.
but better known as MCJB from the legendary female hip hop group of the 80s. She started this group back over 35 years ago, platinum selling, okay? JJ Fad, the group is JJ Fad. She's the founder of JJ Fad. I think I'm saying everything right, right?
Yes, yes, you are.
Multi-platinum. She is also the leader of that group, but she's now using her platform for some other passions that she has, some other things. And I'm going to read to you exactly what that is. I'm going to read from her bio as soon as I open it up. Okay, and I got to put my glasses on because the writing is really small. Hey, Paula.
Girl, I got mine right here. I'm ready with the glasses.
Okay, so it says Juana Sperling, known to most of you as MCJB from the Grammy-nominated platinum-selling group JJ Fad. Juana is the leader and founder of the group and has been in the music industry for over 35 years. She started the group in 1988 and continues to tour across the nation. Her new passion now is being a woman's empowerment advocate and speaking to others about her personal experience dealing with domestic violence. She speaks on persevering after adversity, as well as teaching others how to recognize red flags before entering relationships. Her focus is showing others that they are in control of their minds, their bodies, and what they are willing to accept from others. After 22 years in an abusive marriage, she is finally ready to speak about her experiences so that she may help others avoid and recognize abusive and narcissistic behaviors that could lead to gun violence and other forms of extreme abuse. That is a lot,
Yes.
Juana.
Yes.
That's a lot. And I am so ready to get into this conversation because I think it's a conversation that's really, really, really needed and a lot of people don't talk about. Um, they prefer to talk about other things that's going on in society. They prefer to be on the Instagram and the social media feeds, talking about everything else other than what's really, really, really important now. But first, before we get into that, I want to talk about the music because I have traveled and I have been on the stage with you numerous, I mean, for like so many times for many, many years. And every time that I've been on the stage with you or shared the same stage with you, you've always been the same. You've always had the same energy. Every time I see you, you don't change. You have not changed. You know, people change.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
People change throughout the years. And, you know, some moments, sometimes they love you, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they speak, sometimes they don't. And I don't know if that's part of the business, but I don't like it. I like for people to stay this way with me when they see me. And I think that I've been that way with you.
Yeah.
We see each other and it's always love. It's always great energy. You guys always kill it on the stage.
Thank you. As do you.
You and the girls. Now, is everybody, all of the original members, are they all still together?
Yeah, we're all the original members. The three of us, the same. We never changed. We never switched the lineup.
That's so good. So you all got along throughout these years.
Yeah.
And if you did have any issues, it seems like you fixed them.
Oh yeah.
Because you're still together.
We always knew that communication was key. We didn't get along every single minute of the day. Absolutely. We had differences in opinion, differences in all kinds of things, but we learned to talk it through. And if we just couldn't come to a decision, it's just majority rules. There was three of us. So somebody had to lose, you know, but we were able to accept that and say, okay, what's the majority, you know, and get through it that way.
So you guys are still performing after over 35 years.
Yes.
And the same here. It's been 40 years for me. Now, do you see a shift? Do you see that how do you feel about it? Are things the same? Have they gotten better? How has the scene changed for you guys?
As far as the music or as far as the performing? It hasn't really changed much for us because we kind of stuck to the same thing that we did all the way back in the 80s. We just want our show to be high energy. We want to involve the crowd. We want to make sure they're a part of our show. So, and we still get just as much love as we did back in the 80s, which is really amazing. So I think it's because the crowd that we're playing to now is the same crowd that we were playing to in the 80s.
That's right.
So we still get that love. I mean, there's times where, you know, they may be there for someone else, not just us. So we may get a little quieter crowd and we can say, oh, we can totally tell they wasn't here to see us tonight, you know, but that's very rare.
Yeah. So, but as far as the crowds are concerned, like for me, the reason why I'm asking, like for me, it's even better now. For me, I believe like the crowds are bigger. You know, there's bigger venues. You know, we work with the Alan Becks, the Bobby D's, and other promoters, FKOA, Mike from LA Events.
Right.
They're bringing these big shows, and it's been happening for, gosh, I would say the last 20, maybe 15, 20 years. Yeah. Right? So to me, in that way, it's better. It's better. It's like,
for us, we started out playing to those big venues because we were on the Runs House tour, which was a national tour, and it was the very first hip hop tour. So those crowds were humongous. We were playing arenas all the way back in the 80s. So we kind of already had that experience. So we didn't do clubs and stuff like that. We got pushed straight on to the big arena.
Because you guys were performing with, like, I mean, name some of the hip hop groups that you guys worked with as females.
Yes. We were the only females on that first national hip hop tour. It was Run DMC, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Wow.
EPMD, LL Cool J did some spot dates, Public Enemy, and then us. So we were the only girls on this huge national tour with all these boys. And I say boys because we were all young at that time. So, or young men, I should say. We just had a blast.
How old were you when you started?
Baby D was 15.
Oh my God.
I know. And Sassy C and I were 19, 20-ish.
Yeah.
We're still young.
Yeah. So I was 19 when I started. So with her being so young, did you guys have to have a chaperone? Did her mom go? Like, how did that work? Her mother just trusted?
I was close
Everybody.
to her. Yeah, we grew up together. So I was very close to her, and her cousin was actually my best friend. And so her mom entrusted me with her well-being and her care. So I was always the one to look after her, take care of her, make sure she was okay. But we did have to have a tutor for her when we were on that tour.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so unreal. So what made you get the courage to speak about this now?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Yeah. Your marriage, it was a 22-year marriage, right? That's a long time.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to switch? I mean, you're still in the music business. You still do your shows and everything. Yeah. But what made you decide to come out and talk about your experience in your marriage?
It was time. I stayed silent for so long. I didn't tell anybody what was going on. There were very few people that knew, even the sisters in my group, they knew a little bit of it, but they didn't know the extent of it. So I just felt like after I took the time to heal and think back on everything that I went through, and I thought to myself, if I have this platform and I can help other people to understand what they're going through and how they can persevere after that and how they can get out and how there's resources out there and how they can talk to me, they can talk to other people. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. I was very afraid because I thought it made me look weak. And
So where did you get that strength from? Where did you get that encouragement or that courage to do that, to speak out?
I think it just came to me real. I just, after the divorce, I was by myself. I had time to reflect. What can I do? What can I take from this experience? What can I do to help others not have to experience this? What can I do to be better for someone else or be that resource for somebody else to not have to, think that they're alone or think that they're by themselves or think that there's no way out.
So did you have help? Did someone help you get to that point? Like, were you involved in let me just let you tell your story.
Okay.
Because I don't want to jump ahead of you, and because I want people to understand what you went through.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you had to have some type of counseling, someone to help you, to guide you, to get to this point, right?
It was it was God. I stayed in prayer, and I always talked to God, and I always, asked them, how can this be? How can I do something that you would be proud of? How can I make this situation better and be pleasing to you? And it just came to me, something said, you need to talk about it. You need to speak about it. You need to help other people. I would have still been in this marriage if it were up to me. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was raised in a very Christian family, and my parents did not believe in divorce, and they stayed married till the day they passed away. One of them died. I was always told divorce is, you do whatever you can to stay in a marriage. Divorce is not an option. You got to stay there. You got to stay there. You got to stay there. You got to go through it. You got to work it out, blah, blah, blah. So that was ingrained in me, that you don't divorce. So it wasn't my idea to divorce. It was actually his. But to me, that was God.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That was a blessing.
Yes. He's like, you know what, girl? You are not going to keep putting yourself through this. So let me take this situation away from you. And it was such a blessing, and there was such a weight lifted off of me, and I just felt like so light and airy, and of course there was things that we had to go through. There was painful times, that there was arguing, there was, all the name calling, everything to go with it, but I still felt like I was free.
So do you want to share some of that of what, I mean, do you want to tell a little bit of
Yeah,
the testimony or give people an idea of really what you went through
sure.
in the marriage? Well, we can start with like, what are the red flags?
Okay.
Want to talk about that? Like,
sure.
What should women look for? Like, what are the red flags in an abusive relationship? I mean, I also know what they are because I dealt with the same thing in my first marriage, and we'll probably get into that. But I want you to, from your perspective, what are some of the red flags that women should look for in an abusive man, an abusive relationship?
Yeah. Well, the first red flag that I ever got that I chose to ignore was this was before I was even married, and we had gone to a party, and there was drinking at the party, there was weed smoking at the party. I wasn't into all that. I was ready to go. So I said, okay, let's go. I'm done. Want to go home, blah, blah, blah. Well, he wasn't ready to go. I drove to the party. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go. I said, because I am tired. I don't feel comfortable here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my car and go. Now, that was back in the days of pagers. You guys remember beepers?
Yeah.
That was back in those days. So I had a beep. I left. Then I had a beeper, and my beeper goes off, and I look at my pager, and it says 187. Now, I don't know if you guys know what that means, but that's the police code for murder. So he paged me 187. And I was like, wow, are you kidding me? Drove home, phone kept blowing up, blowing up, blowing up. I didn't answer, was kind of scared. I'm like, what is this? Like, is this real? Like, what's going on? Finally came home. He was like, I am so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was freaking out. I didn't know how I was going to get home. Just the whole, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, the whole thing. And at this time I'm engaged to be married. I'm in, I'm all the way in. So forgive and forget, keep going. And that was the first red flag. And that should have been my sign right there. But you know what? When you love somebody, you choose to ignore those signs. Yeah. And you choose to validate them by saying, you know what? Yeah, he was upset. I left him there. You start to blame yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And you start to make excuses for them.
Absolutely.
Try to look at the better side of them, and you just push things away.
Yes.
Thinking that with time, maybe things will change.
Absolutely.
Or, you'll work it out. You'll go to counseling.
Yeah.
So that was one incident.
That was one incident. And mind you, early on, like, this all didn't happen throughout the entire time.
Right.
So it would be little things, little arguments, but every argument, I was called everything but a child of God. I was always name called, bitches, hoes, whatever. That was me. So that just, and that was hurtful, but I'm just like, that's how he argues, that's it. That's his thing, whatever, So just years of that. And then I would say probably into maybe the 8th or 9th year, it would start to be like choking or pushing up against the wall or restraining or, and people say, and I hate when people say this, oh, but he didn't beat you up like black eye. And it doesn't matter. Any form of touching in a mean way or an angry way is abusive. So because I didn't get black eyes, because I didn't get beat like a dude, people tend to sweep that under the rug like, okay, well, that's not really abuse. Well, all of that is abuse. Even the verbal part of it is abuse. So just throughout the time that I was with him, anytime he was angry, anytime he was mad, if there was something he didn't like, I would have to go through that.
Right.
So
yeah. I agree with everything that you just said when it comes to the red flags, because I had to, I thought about it too. I said, okay, what were the red flags that I saw, right? And this is really like my first time ever talking about it or exposing it.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
It happened 20 years ago. This was in my first marriage. And no, it was not my son's father. For those, I was not married to Tony. So it was not him. This was a minister. Because there was a time when I left the ministry, left music, and I went into the ministry for 14 years. And I'd been there for quite some time in this amazing ministry. And this person came along, and I was doing really well by myself, single for many years. And he entered into our church. And we didn't get along at first. He was the music minister. He was also a pastor, and we didn't get along in the beginning. But then as time went by, you know, we started getting along. I didn't know at the time that he was married. So there was a lot of red flags that came my way. People warned me. People warned me and was trying to warn me and tell me about this gentleman. Well, he wasn't a gentleman, about this man. I was warned about the different marriages. I didn't listen. Okay. And he came from out of state, right? A lot of us didn't know much about him. So he came from out of state. He had been married several times. So I got all of those warnings. And I was warned by my spiritual leaders to, you know, leave that alone, you know, don't get involved. And there was just a lot of red flags. The jealousy, like you said, the suspicion, suspicion, everything that I did, he was very suspicious of everything, very jealous of me, isolating me from friends that I had that were not in the church. He didn't want me to be friends with anybody outside of the church or outside of the ministry. And this is when I had completely left the music business. I wasn't involved anymore in the business. So the silent treatments, you know, trying to make you feel guilty about things, giving you the silent treatment. All those things came, but they didn't come until much later. Like you said, it was not in the beginning. This was like, oh my God, like maybe after 3-4 years, that's when the mood and the temperament started changing. And I just noticed his personality started to really reveal itself after like 3-4 years in. Now, I was married to this person for over 8 years. It was 8 years.
Yeah.
And this was in the early 2000s. So it was about 20 years ago. So it was like a lot of mind games going on. And mind you, this was not always the situation. This happened like maybe 4 years in. Just the belittling you, you know, the verbal abuse, all those type of things. And then later, of course, more came.
Sure.
But after we got married, of course, like you said, I chose to work it out. I tried to work. I went to counseling. I tried to get counseling, but I didn't want anybody to really know. So I really got like advice and counseling from people outside of my ministry, because I didn't want the people in my ministry to know what was going on, because we both basically also worked in ministry. So I didn't want to get him in trouble. I didn't want to, I just didn't want to ruffle any feathers. You know, I was embarrassed because I was warned. I was told not to get involved, and I did. So I was embarrassed. I was ashamed that I allowed myself to get involved with a person that I was warned about.
Right.
So the embarrassment came with that.
Yes.
And then the shame, like, how could I allow myself to, because I'm a strong person, right?
That's the key right there, is the strength, because you and I are like in that way, very strong personalities, very strong. It's the strength that you have outwardly in the world, and then people say, that strong person put up with that, you know, it makes you look like, are you really a strong person? You know, it's that, how am I going to be perceived?
Right.
Now, if I go out and tell somebody that this is what's happening to me, how is that going to make me look? I'm a strong woman.
Right.
You know, so it is that embarrassment, and it is that, you know, struggle with keeping it to yourself or talking.
And the embarrassment, because you feel like a fool. You feel like an idiot, and you're embarrassed that you didn't listen, first of all, and you allow yourself to get involved with this person you had no business being involved with. So now, okay, in the beginning, yeah, everything is lovely, it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then later, when everything starts hitting the fan, you look crazy and you want to try to hide it. Hide everything, work through it by yourself, deal with it by yourself so you don't have to explain anything to anybody. And then that's what really gets you in trouble, because they know that you're hiding it.
Right.
And that you're not going to expose them.
Exactly.
So they feel like they can do, say, and treat you any kind of way and get away with it.
Yeah.
So you have to like suck all that in and try to figure it all out pretty much by yourself.
Yeah.
But at some point, I had to confide in someone very close to me. I felt like, I feel like women that's going through this, they have to really find at least one good, strong prayer, a friend that can really pray. That can really pray them through this and understand and will not judge them. And usually it's going to be a very mature person.
Absolutely.
Woman, an older woman that not your friends, like that would probably go and gossip, or that's maybe jealous of you and you don't know it. It has to be like a mother.
Right.
A mother, someone you can talk to, and they will get on the phone with you 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and pray with you. You can tell them little secrets about what's going on. And that's what really got me through it. I had that really close, I call her a prayer warrior to help me through it. Because like I said, I didn't seek counseling in the beginning because I didn't want them to know what was going on, because we're both working for the ministry. He is a minister, and I just couldn't put it out there, you know. But I didn't reveal all of this till much, much later when it started getting physical. In the beginning years, like the first 4, I would say 5 years.
Hold on,
T.
Good. Some of your people are saying they can't hear.
There's no, because I'm speaking low. Really?
Yeah. They said there's no volume, so I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. Okay. Maybe someone else. Can someone else? I see that Annette says she can't hear. Can anyone else hear? Can someone else let us know if we're good? If you can hear us loud and clear? Because I hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly well too.
Yeah, Kim said that he can hear. So everybody says it. So maybe Annette is just you.
Yeah, it's her phone.
So yeah, I'm gonna let you talk because I'm getting, my body is getting very, I'm getting like really warm. And I think it's because it's the first time ever that I'm talking about it.
Yes. And you know what? The first time is the hardest time. It really is. Because you have made yourself vulnerable now. And we both have exposed ourselves and what we went through. And it's very hard, especially the first time, to admit that you allowed, and I have to say that because we did allow ourselves as, strong women to be treated this way. And that's where the stigma comes in, is, how you have to look inward. How did I let myself go through that? Why did I think that was okay? And it just makes it really difficult because you always feel like whoever you're telling your story to is judging you. But
I knew it wasn't, I knew that it wasn't okay.
Right.
Like in the beginning years, it was just verbal stuff.
Yes.
And me being a fighter, I would fight back. I would say whatever back.
Same. Yep.
And, it became that way. But, I would, because I was a very praying woman, I would pray and pray that things, because you go through those type of things in marriages,
Absolutely.
It's not always, perfect.
Right.
Okay. You fight through it. And that's why I was able to stay with him that long, because in the beginning, it wasn't like that. We would go to church. We would, we would be with the kids. It was, we had great times together.
Absolutely.
But then things shifted. They shifted. shifted. Like after maybe 4 years or so, the temperament started changing.
Right.
The anger started coming out. The flip at the mouth, the nasty words, and you know. And then I would go back. Oh, so you're a man of God, and you talking like this, and then you want to get up and talk to the people, and you know, we would go back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're supposed to be this great minister, and you're doing this, that, and the other, and so we would fight about that.
Right.
And then it would be, you know, beautiful again. It was just like a lot of back and forth thing, you know, and but I knew it was wrong because I knew I should not have been in that situation. Right. And I kept telling myself that this is not for you. This is not it, you know, but because I was in it, I felt like you got to see this through. You know, I didn't also believe that if you're married, I didn't believe just, you know, I didn't believe in just going and getting a divorce. I wanted to try to work it out. Yeah. And until the physical, once the physical stuff started, I said, oh no, I can't do this. Yeah. I couldn't do it. That's when, you know, and they just started getting more often and worse. It when the, like you said, the choking, the shoving, the shoving on the floor, and then it started getting kind of public when there was a time I remember we're on in the he tried to push me out of a moving car on the highway, and then we got to another incident at a car dealership. He got upset, snatched me out the car, threw me on the hood of the car, and the guys at the dealership, they came running over to, you know, to pretty much me to rescue me. Yeah. And they jumped on him. It was just a bad scene. So when those things started happening, it's like something clicked in me, like light bulb went off and said, you know what? You got to get out of this. You have to go. And that's when I shifted. I changed because I knew better. I knew I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going to work this out with this man. You know, I have to figure out how to get out. And I started really, really praying. And one of the main prayers that I used to say to God, or I would talk to him all the time. I used to remember the scripture that would say he will make a way of escape for you. Yeah. Say it, God, help me escape. Help me escape. Look out the window when we're driving the car. Help me escape this. You know, you said, and I would remind him of his word. Yeah. You said you will make a way of escape for me. But I'll be able to bear whatever I'm dealing with until, I'm paraphrasing the scripture, but until you show me how to get out. Right. You got to show me. And I was asking for the Spirit of God to lead me and show me how to get out. Show me where to go, how to do it, who to call, because you got to have a plan, right? You have to. You have to have a plan. You got to have a strategy. You just, because I didn't want any hurt to come to me, to my family, to my son, nobody. And thank God I was able to keep all of this from my son. He never even saw anything. Yeah. Because I would pick up his mood, and I would always know when it was going to be a fight or when he was in that weird energy. When he, you know, when he was angry, I could just always pick up, okay, he's tripping about something. So I would always like send my son to my mother's, or to his father's. I would always get my son out of the house because I knew, okay, it's going down tonight. Something's going down, because I could just always pick up. You could feel it. Yeah. Yeah, his vibe, his mood.
You always feel like you're walking on eggshells.
All the time. So and you got to watch what you say. You got to watch all of that, because you don't want to really, really make him angry. And all of that. So, yeah. You know, you got to, you know, you have to plan your exit. You can't just say, well, why didn't you just leave? Sometimes it's not that easy. You got to sometimes put some money away. Yeah. So you can have somewhere to go. Because at that time, I didn't really want my family to know. So I had to put some money away to go get an apartment without knowing. you know, you just have to plan things.
Yeah.
Because when you're dealing with a crazy person, you never know what's going to happen. And so you have to just kind of strategize and use God's wisdom and always pray, you know, God, lead me, show me how to do this, who to talk to. You know, tell your friends. You got to confide in somebody to let them know what's really happening, just in case,
That's the hardest part.
things
That's
turn really bad.
Yeah.
So
That's
how
one
did
of the
you
hardest
plan?
things.
So what did you do?
I
How did
didn't
you
plan.
make?
I had no plan. I just knew that something had to give. And I prayed about it and I said, there's got to be a way out of this, you know? And I still was on that divorce is not an option, divorce is not an option thing. And
you know, a lot of religious people will say that. A lot of people in the church will say that, because
absolutely.
I did get
That's
that
how I
from
was
some
raised.
people, but from my main, my bishop,
Yes.
from my spiritual leaders, my bishop, when I finally, just because it was getting bad, it was getting to the point where I was like, I mean, I even went and got a firearm because it was, for me, in my head, it was going to be either me or you.
Right.
And it got bad.
Yeah.
So I prayed and I prayed because I felt that this one particular night, that was going to be it. But God spoke to me and said, call your bishop. Don't do that. Because it was going to go down. I had packed up his things. I had a friend come over and help me pack his things while he was gone doing his thing, you know, because by then another woman was involved too.
Same. And that's how I got out, is he fell in love with another woman. So he decided to leave. And that wasn't the first affair. I had gone through several affairs during the course of my marriage and forgave every single time. And this time, I guess he fell in love and he served me with divorce papers. And like I said earlier, I felt free.
Yeah.
But then
you didn't have to do that.
But then
you
your ego kicks in and you're like, wait, what? You left me? You know, should not have been there at all. I should have, you know, I was, in one sense, I was extremely happy. In the second sense, I was like, but my ego kicked in. And then I had to check myself.
Right.
You prayed for this.
Yeah.
You wanted a way out. You weren't going to take the way out. So this is what I did for you. And that's when I had to, you know, ground myself and say, you know what, Lord, you're right. You are right. And thank you. Thank you so much, you know. So then I was just in fight mode to save my home, to, you know, keep things that belong to me, things that my mother passed down to me. She was, she had been gone from the earth at this point. So had to fight over that in court and, you know, just things like that. So I was in fight mode shortly after I was served. But it took 5 years for my divorce to be final, which is nuts.
With me, it was very, very quick.
Yeah.
Because when the night when I felt like that's it, you know, it's gonna be either me or you.
Yeah.
And I ended up revealing everything to Bishop, and I was very surprised that they were really in agreement with me that that was the best thing for me. And I believe it's because they had already heard some things and knew of some things. And I told them what was going on, and my bishop took care of everything. From that point on, he handled it. That very next morning, well, actually that night, night, he sent people over to help me with the situation. He found my ex and took care of it. And I never spoke or saw him again after that. And he never tried to contact me or speak to me again after that situation. The divorce went perfectly smooth and fine. So that's what happens.
That's a blessing.
You have someone really good behind you. And my bishop was behind me. And they didn't get all religious on me, like, well, you got to work through this, because they knew, I think they knew what I was going through because they had heard things before as well.
Yeah.
They had heard, and it was manifesting again through me.
Right.
And you know,
Yeah.
I believe he's on his fifth or sixth marriage now.
Wow.
So before that, I was warned. You know, he had been married, and this, that, and the other. But you know, sometimes when you get involved, sometimes it's almost a point of no return. You get to a point of no return, and it's like, you know, you got to keep going because you got into something that you know that you should not have gotten into.
Right.
And you just got to deal. You just got to deal. And there's some things that I just had to swallow and deal with through those years because I knew, and I couldn't blame God.
Right.
Because God, He warned me. And a lot of people make their mistake and try to, well, why God, you let me do this? God didn't put you in that situation.
Right.
He didn't put me in that situation. He tried to warn me through other people. Those were my red flags. He tried to tell me about the history of this person with other people.
Yeah.
He revealed it to me when I thought he was single and he wasn't. He was married. So I ended up committing adultery of a lie.
Right.
So that wasn't cool because at that moment when I met him, I was living a really good, clean life.
Yeah.
I was living for God. And here he comes.
Right.
And I found out about the wife later because she ended up coming to our church and I'm blown away. So it was a big mess. I could tell more and more and more, but it's going to be for the book.
Yes.
I want to save a lot for the book.
Yes. And what we want to make sure that we do is, you know, tell people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
It is.
Don't think that you're stuck where you are. You have the voice. You have the power. You are in control. That's my motto. I am in control. You're in control of your body. You're in control of your mind. You're in control of what you allow people, how you allow people to treat you. You just have to know that. And you have to use your voice and you have to speak it. And you have to tell this person you're in a relationship with or prospective relationship with, if there's something that you don't like, you have to say, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that you said that to me.
Right.
And I don't ever say that to me again, or I will never speak to you again. And it's over. You have to be bold and say those things, you know, because then you have let them know, you have set your ground rules and you have let them know, oh, okay, she's not the one. She's not the one to be messed with. She's not going to take my shit.
That's right.
You have set your boundaries. And I think if every woman, and I love speaking to the youth because they think it's normal for their little boyfriends, if they get mad at them, to call them a bitch. They think that's okay. That's normal. That's not normal.
It's not.
And it's been normalized by society. And that's sad because if they're going to call you that when they're in the 8th and 9th grade, they're going to call you much more when you're older. And it's going to advance to more things. So you have to go ahead.
How did you deal with because your marriage was very abusive, very physical. So
but it wasn't it was like I said, I didn't get like the black eyes. I didn't get punched. I didn't get, you know, it was more, it was the subtle things. I think he was smart enough to know that I'm in the music business. I can't go out there with a black eye.
Exactly. And that is exactly the way it was with me.
Right.
Because we were in church all the time. Tuesdays, rehearsals, Bible studies, all of that. So that's where the shoving, the pushing, the choking, the slamming you down, you know.
I got things thrown at me. I got trash cans thrown at me, like everything like that, but nothing that would leave a mark.
Exactly.
So
same here.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people didn't believe. Like once the word got out, a lot of people that was friends or knew of us in the church, they didn't believe it. They thought I was lying.
Right.
They thought I was lying, even though there was history.
Right.
You know, now I don't know if they believe it or not, but and it's very hurtful too when people don't believe you.
Right.
believe you. And it's like, okay. And these were Christians.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. But he was very charismatic.
Oh,
He
they
was
all are.
very,
And that's
huh?
narcissistic behavior. They're
Yeah,
so like, mine could go into a room and instantly everyone would love him. Oh
exactly.
my God.
That's,
He
yeah,
has gift of gab, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
That is the
That's,
same exact way he is, because
yes.
he was like the minister, the
Mm-hmm.
musician. Everybody
Yes.
loved him.
Right.
He could speak and he could preach and
Mm-hmm.
do all. And a part of that is one of the reasons that attracted me to him.
Right.
Okay, because I
Exactly.
like very talented people. I
Yeah.
like very creative
Yeah.
people. I like musicians,
Uh-huh.
So after a while, that started appealing to me.
Right.
Okay? And
Exactly.
it won me over
Uh-huh.
because he really was not my type at
Mm-hmm.
all.
But that
At
personality
all.
takes
And I'm
over.
like, how did you end up with
Yeah.
that? How did you,
Yeah.
what? Because I was attracted to that. So that was part of the pull.
Right.
And then I started, really looking past a lot of the flaws, because I'm like, clearly he's not that way. He's in church. He just has some anger issues. It's a
Yeah.
temperament issue.
Right.
We're here in the church and he's not going to be like that.
Exactly.
We'll get some help. We'll go to
Yeah.
counseling because we're both leaders. And
Mm-hmm.
no, it
No,
just got worse and worse and worse.
you
And the
can't
more
change.
quiet, yeah.
Right.
And because I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
exposing him,
Yeah.
it gave him room to feel like, okay, it's
Right.
okay. And so when I really started fighting back,
Mm-hmm.
and I think also when he started with this other person, a lot of times people who these men hook up with,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say can change them, but they can influence a lot.
Sure.
They're
Yeah.
very influencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was angry because he wanted to go over there, but he felt stuck, and I don't know.
Yeah.
At one point he told me, he came out of his mouth and said this, we're going to get a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to tell anybody. We're going to continue to go and work for the ministry and go to church as like normal, like we're a couple, but we won't be together, because he didn't want to lose his position.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to lose his
Right.
job.
Right.
He didn't want to lose. And I said, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's no way I'm going to lie to my bishop like
Right.
that, as good as he's been to us. I said, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And of course, that's when the fights began to get
Mm-hmm.
worse and worse, because he wanted to control me and make me more and more fearful.
Right.
But I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. And I did reveal everything,
Mm-hmm.
Bishop. I revealed what the plan was supposed to be.
Right.
And my bishop already knew. He
Yeah.
knew. He was like,
Yeah.
Sister Trinere, don't worry about it. I'm going to handle this.
Yeah.
You go to your mothers, you take your son,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be getting in touch with you. And it was a wrap. It was a wrap.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That was a blessing, boy. I had to 5 years. I went through the trenches.
Oh, it was a
But the
wrap.
difference is that I had kids, and I had a home, we had mutual assets.
Yeah, yeah,
That's which
yeah.
made it, really, really difficult to,
Right.
to get everything sorted out. But I'm like, 5 years. Come on, California. You got to do better than that. That is ridiculous. So
what about your kids? Because you have kids too.
And that was going to be my next subject, is that another reason why I stayed in so long. Because he's like, why'd you stay so long? Why'd you stay so long? Not only was it because that was ingrained in me through my parents, but that I had daughters. I had 4 girls.
Yeah.
And I could not even fathom another man around my children, because you don't know what this man is going to do to your baby girls.
That's right.
And I didn't feel like I wanted anybody else raising my kids other than their father.
Right.
And that was another reason that kind of pushed me to stay, where I am. But after a while, I had so many coping mechanisms. Like, my kids were into everything. Early on, they were into dance. So we would go to the dance studio, and I would sit there at the dance studio for hours, 4 hours at a time, and watch them do their private lessons, watch them dance. Like, that was my outlet. I was away from home.
And your kids are fantastic. Oh my God. You did a
They're
great
amazing
job.
Thank you so much.
You did
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
job. I remember when seeing them go to college and all of that. And I'm like,
Yep.
you did Juana.
Ah,
Great
I have a
family.
doctor
Oh my
in my
God.
family. One of my daughters is a doctor, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My youngest one is going to be graduating in May from grad school, and she'll be a forensic biologist. So, yeah, I thank God for them. Yes. And she, the girls, it was hard for me because they would see things, and then I would go back and say to them, don't ever let a man treat you this way. You know, I would try to explain, you know, I'm here for you guys, but don't ever, ever, ever put up with that from anybody. And it's crazy because they tell you all the time, don't stay in a situation for your kids.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that. And now I can say the same thing. And here's the reason why I can say that. I can say that now because as my kids got older, and while we were going through the divorce, they asked me, Mom, we thought you was going to leave a long time ago. We were hoping that you would, you know, figure it out, you know.
Oh.
And to hear that from your kids, you know, that it would have been okay for you to leave, you know, that they thought, you know, that was, I was blown away because the main reason why I stayed was for them. And, and they let me know as they were older that you didn't have to do that. And I also didn't want them, oh, you got to go to your dad's this weekend. Yeah. Oh, you got to spend a week in the summer. Like, I did not want that. Yeah. So, but they said, but Mom, it would have been better than what you went through. Yeah. You know, because he was a good dad. Yeah. To them. So, I would never say anything about, somebody had to set me straight though. I was talking to one of my coworkers, and in my PowerPoint, in my message, in my speech, I always say he was a really good dad. And then she looked at me and she was like, you should say that he was an attentive dad. You shouldn't say that he was a good dad. And I said, well, why do you say that? She said, because if he was a good dad, he wouldn't have let his babies see their mother go through that or talk to their mother in that way in front of them, or period. Yeah. So you have to change that. So I did change that. He was an attentive dad to his children. That's good. That's so really I had to learn that because I was always, oh, he's a good dad, but you know, you can't be a good dad and still act the way that you act. Yeah. That you acted toward their mom. So I had to change my mindset in that way. So yeah. But it was, I mean, it was, it's good to talk about it. And I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad that you did because because I'm sure like when we're done with this whole thing, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel so much better. I don't know about that. Maybe you will. It's better. I feel like I'm writing a book because there's a lot that went on with it. And I know that there are maybe some people watching that came from my church that know everything. Oh, well, they don't know everything. They just know some of what I went through. Right. Because there's a whole lot more to the story. But I'm saving that for later. But I've never like verbally, like especially live on yes. I've never really talked about it. Even my family doesn't know. Nobody knows. Right. Not even my son. Not even my son. Yeah. My son has a few. He knows a little bit. Yeah. But not because he saw anything. But he, you know, used to pick up some of the temperaments. Sure. You know? Yeah. They know. Kids are not stupid. That's right. But anytime anything was about to go down, I would always figure it out and say, okay, I got to send him to his dad's. Or I got to send him over to my mother's. I always protected him. Yeah. And there was even a time when I knew something was gonna happen, and I gave him some money. Him and his stepson. I mean, my stepson
son. And I said, go to the park. I need you to go down to the park and I need you to call the police and just give them the address and send the police to the house. And if they ask you why, just say that your mom said to send the police, she needs help. My son didn't know why I said that to him.
Yeah.
But he did it.
Oh, good.
And he went, and I'm sure it scared him. And I think that was the only time that he had a real clue that something was wrong. And then after that is when I said, you know what, I got to get out of here. I got to send my son to his dad's or my mother's or whatever, because I revealed it to him that something was wrong.
Yeah.
And, you know, the police did show up and he was looking like, okay, why are the police here? He had no clue.
What happened?
He had no clue that I sent them. And that's when we still had pay phones. I knew it was a phone down the street. And so that was very hard for me to do. And so, but he doesn't know the depth of it at all, because I protected him and I kept him from all of that, all of it.
It seems to be a recurring theme as I talk to more and more people, that they keep quiet. Women keep quiet. If not to protect themselves and the judgment, to even protect the mate from the possibilities and the repercussions that could happen to them. So, and that's one of my main things is I want people to speak on it. I want women not to feel like they're being judged, not to feel like, you know, to be afraid, not to try to protect somebody who's hurting you. You don't need to do that, you know. And when I go into audience and I'm like, I said, I don't care, you know, if I don't want to know your story, I don't want to know anything, but I just want you to raise your hand if you've been through something like this. And when I tell you, T, that over half of the audience raises their hands, it just makes me sick to my stomach. It really does, because there's way too much of this going on.
Yeah, and it's real. And I don't even, I was trying to, because, you know, I've done a few of these live talks, right? And it's usually about music. You know, it's usually about music and friends in the industry, you know, most of them. And, but this time I just don't know. I was praying and I was like, gosh, because I want to talk about music because, you know, it's my life. I love it. It is a part of my life, but there's so many other things, other subjects that we need to talk about with women, because I know that God gave me this platform for a reason. It's not just to talk about music. You know, that is an avenue, you know, it's an avenue for us to be able to talk about some other things, because there's some really hurting people, women, a lot of hurting women out there that deal with so much. And I was like, God, I really want.
I know. We got to help. We got to make a difference. We got to speak on it. We got to make people understand that there are things that we can do to get out of situations that we don't need to be in. So I get it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people, a lot of women that's smiling and
hurting at the same time.
Because nobody had a clue. Nobody knew, like, what you did, you went through what? They have no idea, because women are afraid to talk. They're afraid because they think people will judge them and think that they're stupid, think that something's wrong with them for even being in the situation. I was mad at myself. Like, how could you be so freaking stupid?
Exactly.
You know this is not for you. This is not what you were raised to be. You can do better than this. But I thought he was better. I thought he was a great guy. How could you go wrong with him? How could you go wrong with a minister, child? and I understand that, you know, everybody that says that they're, you know, Christian or that they're in God are, you know, they got to prove themselves. They got to show the fruits, right? But I thought it was all good for the first few years. And then when I found out it wasn't, I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I'm like, how could you allow this? You got warned by God. You still didn't listen, you know, and then you get this guilt. You're like, you're afraid to talk to, like, one thing I want people to, women, especially women that's going through this, no matter what you're going through, to never blame God for the situation, because he's right there with you, trying to lead you, trying to guide you out of the situation. He's trying to give you clear wisdom. You just have to stay in relationship with him, continue to talk to him. Don't feel even judged by him, because I did a lot of wrong, and I did a lot of wrong to even be in that situation. Okay. I did some wrong stuff that, you know, I had to ask God for forgiveness, but I never stopped talking to him. I never stopped praying to him. God, help me get out of this. Forgive me for what I did wrong. I know that I should not have been involved in this. And I know that I hurt, because my actions hurt another woman as well. So you have to, I had to keep reminding myself, you know, I'm free from that. God has forgiven me. I can still talk to him. He's going to lead me out of this. He's going to direct me. He's going to give me wisdom, and he's going to protect me. And he did. And I continued to pray for God's angels to surround me and my family and my son to protect us, and to just show me how to get out, God. And I just kept praying. Don't ever feel like you cannot talk to God about it. You can. He is not judging you. He is not, he's just not judging you.
No, he's not. You got to stay in prayer.
He's guiding you if you want to be guided. He's going to lead you to the right counsel. He's going to lead you to the right spiritual leaders, because you can't trust everybody. Okay. You can't trust everybody with that kind of information, but you ask God, lead me to the right people, the right spiritual leaders, the right counselors, and even pray for him. That he would get deliverance, that he would get healing, that God would convict him and show him where he's wrong, so that he could get help, because that's a problem. That's an anger issue. That's a violent, evil, wicked spirit. And you got to pray for him to get delivered, but you don't have to wait around for it. You take care of yourself and your family, and ask for, you know, guidance, for God to lead you to the right counselors, the right people that will not judge you and take advantage and throw a lot of religious stuff on you. You know? No, because some people, sometimes they're just a little bit too religious. And I thank God that my pastor, he saw everything, and he was like, no, you don't have to stay in this marriage.
Right. Like, God doesn't want love to hurt.
No.
So that's
and it's violent. That's a violent spirit, and it's a wicked spirit. And God loves his girls. He loves us, and he doesn't want us to be, you know, abused and violently hurt. That's just wrong. It's against God, and we shouldn't have to deal with it. So don't be afraid to continue to pray, because he's gonna show you. And I knew there were some consequences that I had to deal with, and I was willing to deal with it. And I would talk to God about that. God, I know that I did this. I admitted everything. I knew that I was wrong in A, B, C, and D. And you have to ask for forgiveness for the people that you hurt, so that you can go to him freely and talk to God about it, you know, and not feel that guilt. It's awful. And that's how I felt. I was able to talk, and he always surrounded me, always protected me. That's why when I went, he told me, no, don't do what you had planned on doing this night. Pick up the phone and call your bishop. And I did, and it was over.
That's beautiful.
But that was God.
Look at you, girl.
He sent the deacons over to help me. It was a wrap. And if it happened, you can't lose faith in God through this whole situation. You can't be angry with God through this whole situation. He's going to see you through it. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be hard, but everybody has to do what's right for them, and in the right timing. Like you did it a different way. You stayed. And it still worked out.
Because God was in control. Girl, let me
right.
tell you what I did. You reminded me of something. I used to take, Post-it notes. I used to take little Post-it notes and write scriptures on the Post-it notes. And in the morning before I would go to work, I would put them on my side of the bathroom on the mirror, little scriptures on each Post-it note. And my mirror was almost covered with scriptures. And one day he said, can you please take those down? Don't nobody want to read that every day. I knew he was reading them, you know? And that was my way of saying, you know, maybe you should look at this. Maybe this will help you. Maybe, you know. And when he said that, I knew he was reading every single Post-it note with scripture that I put on that mirror every day. And I was like, that's good, because he needs to read that, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I said, well, don't look at him, just stay on your side.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way you dealt with that,
Yeah.
and God still brought you through that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation of how they come through it is different. You know, that's where the trust comes in. You know, the trust in God and the faith in God, and even though it looks like you're in here.
He doesn't make mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. And I was supposed to go through what I went through, and I was supposed to stay as long as I did.
Yeah.
Because it brought me out of the whole situation in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
As me speaking to other women and helping them, sharing my story, and just giving people resources on how they can get out of their situations as well. So I'm thankful. I'm very thankful.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we talked, and
Me too.
I'm glad that I listened, because I woke up like in the middle of the night. I didn't know. I was like, I want to keep this thing going, you know. I want to talk to more artists, and you're not, I don't speak to you all the time, and I don't see you often like I used to. We used to be on the road together all the time.
Right.
And I remembered seeing you. It was like in the middle of the night, God brought to my mind seeing you on the stage with other ladies.
Yes.
Speaking. And that came to me. I said, that's it. I need to talk to Juana. I need to call her, because we always had a great relationship on the road.
Yeah.
I always felt free to talk to you. I always felt that big smile. You always have that same smile. And I was like, and you've called me a couple of times on some business things.
Yeah.
Music business things. So I knew I could pick up the phone and say, Juana, let's do this.
Yeah.
Because it is something, well, I asked you first. I said, okay, what do you really talk about? And I was like, okay, we can do this because I can relate. It is a subject that is also close to my heart, and I'm able to even share in that too. Yeah. So yeah, it turned out great, and I want to keep doing stuff like this.
Yeah, it really is freeing, and it really is a service to others. And that's what we want to be, and that's what we want to do. I have the perfect title for your book. I don't know if you want me to say it now, or if you want to wait till we get together afterwards. I'm telling you, I have the perfect title for your book.
You do? Okay, yeah, I want to hear what your title is.
Now or later?
Because I do struggle. I do struggle with titles.
Yes.
I do. I'm like, what should I call it?
Yeah.
You know,
you want me to tell you now, or you want me to tell you after?
I have to go into deep prayer. Lord, please. I need to, go ahead and tell me.
I thought it would be good because you said during this time you had stopped with the music and everything. So I thought a cool title would be Trinere, When the Music Stops.
Oh my God.
When the music stops.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Then that way.
I love that. When the music stops, that is deep. I love that one. Yeah. Thank you very much. I am going to absolutely write that down.
Yes, and then just put like a ... because then that's when you go into your story.
Yeah. Ooh, you're gonna make me cry. I get so emotional about these type of things, and I think it's because it's almost like when you know that, like, okay, before certain shows, I don't get nervous before every show. There are certain shows when I'm like really not panicking, but really thinking, really focused. And I know it's important, and it's like I prayed all week about this show, and it usually sells out. But I always know when it's something that's going to take place really magical with this show, because I'm nervous, I'm thinking a lot, I'm like not sleeping, I have insomnia. Those shows always turn out like perfect.
Right.
And so that's how I was feeling about entering and talking about this with you. I was nervous. I was like, even before you came on, and usually, and people who have watched me, I usually have wine.
Yeah.
I have water. I always have wine. But this time I said, I'm going to need some water because I'm going to be thirsty. And look, even still now, my chest is flush. And I just really feel like, to me, that's my sign that this is something that is opening up another door, another avenue, even for both of us.
Right.
And it is something that I'm stepping into new and different. And I think I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the Spirit of God in me, the Holy Spirit in me saying yes.
Yeah.
He's burning. He's burning, and it's like he's got me fired up where he wants me to get comfortable, get used to this, because you get ready to do this a little more because it's needed, because I've been trained in so many different areas when it comes to ministry, and I have not even walked in it.
I'm so proud of you. I just have to tell you, I'm so proud of you, because revealing something that nobody knows for the very first time is very hard. So I'm extremely proud of you, and I'm so glad we had this conversation. And I'm always here for you, girl. Always. Always.
I get so emotional, and it's because I want to do the right thing, I want to please God. And he's given both of us this platform, to do more than just get on the stage, and and that's important, because people need that. They need to see the excitement. We bring something to them: joy, excitement, fun, for those moments, and our music means a lot to them.
Right.
But I also think that there's more that we could be doing, because we have such a large platform of women, and we've gone through so many different experiences, and I haven't even shared, not even half. We've gone through so much, and even when I was in the ministry, I was considered a prayer warrior, because I knew how to even teach in that area, and it's just some things I got to get back to.
Yeah, absolutely, and you will. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Me too. And I always go over my hour. It's 7:10, so we've been like an hour and 10 minutes. Not so bad.
Not too bad. And we got a lot. We got to talk about a lot.
We did. Yeah, we really did.
And I want to let people know, people that are still on. I know some people logged off, but if anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to reach out, they can go to my website. It's juanasperling.com. There's a lot of resources there. You can even call me directly on there. You can email me directly if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you want to talk to me, whatever. juanasperling.com. Reach out to me and we can have a conversation.
And I'm going to put it up once I end this. I'm going to put it up in the caption. All of her contact, if you want to speak with her, and she does a lot of these
panels.
That's the word I was looking for. She's very motivating and encouraging, and it's all good. She is a great person, and she's been this way. She's not fake, y'all. She is the real deal. Her personality, that bubbly personality, her smile, she's always this way. She's always the same.
I don't know.
And I love it.
That's just me.
I know. And I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
So I am going to put it on the caption, if you guys, if there's someone, because you know what? I'm sure it touched somebody. Yeah. Somebody.
Absolutely.
Needed to hear this. It might not have been the masses, but it was what and who God wanted
Yes.
to be here to hear this.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful that you said yes, and you said yes very quickly to me, and
of course,
I appreciate that very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm here whenever you need me.
Thank you, and I can't wait to see you again on the stage.
Yes, I know. You better tell them. What do you call them? Oh my gosh, I can't even think now about music. Agents, I would almost say casting directors.
Okay, well maybe you can do a movie soon or something. Who knows?
Those booking agents and everybody else who books these shows, like I have to tell you though, when we did the 50th anniversary of hip hop and it was aired on CBS.
That's right. I meant to bring that up.
Yes, oh that was amazing. We had the best time, and just just wanted to be on stage more and more and more and more.
Wow.
But we're getting other shows, but we haven't gotten very many Alan shows lately. But I know Alan does, like he'll switch it up.
Yeah,
he'll come back. So I'm sure we'll be back.
He switches it up.
But yeah, we miss being on shows with you. And oh my gosh, I wanted to tell you how excited I was for you too, that you get to be on that show with Diana Ross.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm excited. Oh, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna wear.
Because I know
that's an awesome event. Yes, and
she's your idol.
Just in case I meet her, I gotta have it together to meet the queen.
Yes.
Of all time.
I have my friend Craig from Diggable Planets is on that show, so I'm gonna go to that show and just be his guest because that's gonna be a great show. I want to see everybody.
It is. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah, but I'm gonna be seeing you soon. I know it.
Thank you. All right, girlie.
Tell all the girls. Tell all the girls I said, hey, what's up?
Okay. I sure will. Much love.
Thank you, Juana, for joining us. God bless. Bye.